we go. We are live. I understand what you're saying. I actually like when things are different, but it's surprising to me how many people like getting the shirt, getting the car, or getting the item that someone else has. It could be their friend, it could be a celebrity, but there are a lot of people who like to follow suit. And it's not everyone, and in Montreal we're actually pretty blessed. People here are pretty fashion independent. They can experiment with a lot of things, but I lived in Toronto where you wouldn't see the type of fashion that you see in Montreal. People really don't experiment as easily as we do in Montreal, and so, I don't know. I think most people like wearing clothes that are similar to other people's clothes, and then there are a few of us, depending on the category of our interest, we like to pick different things. I like having the same MacBook, for example. I don't want an original MacBook. I want the same one that everybody has, so that if I have a problem, I can solve it with everybody else who has it. I can feel a part of a group.
Mm-hmm.
Clothes, I like things that are different too.
Well, you know, for me, I was thinking about fashion on Sunday when I was walking towards the park to meet you guys. It was amazing, all the different kinds of fashion. 'Cause, I mean, I don't go downtown too often.
Mm-hmm.
I don't actually go when we have meetups. And but on Sunday it was like, wow, such variety. It was really interesting. I really loved it, and of course all kinds of different cultures as well. But it's just the fashion itself was just it was staggering, and it actually was very refreshing. But I'll say this though, because you know sometimes I do like things to be very original and very unique. But in terms of clothing, for me, I mean, I like to be comfortable first. So it's not about being creative, or not for me, but I know a lot of people, and I appreciate it when people do look very different. I think it's really cool. But for me, it's like, okay, what is comfortable? And if somebody has it, you know, and say, oh, that is super comfortable, and it was cheap, and I found it at that place, well, that's it. That works for me. I don't care if I look like you, if I'm comfortable, you know.
That's right, exactly.
Also, and I think maybe for cars it's the same thing, you know. Again, for me, it's like if I find one that just meets all of my criteria, I don't care if I'm the same as everybody else. You know, I'll find a way to make it different for me if I need to. But otherwise, if it just has all the functions that I need, and if somebody else having it is a guarantee that it's a good one or something like that, well, then I'll go for that, you know.
Yeah, and that's the thing, you know, we use it in terms of, we use consensus in terms of, and standardization in terms of quality control. If somebody else vouches for it, then you can be safe to enjoy it. And I think it's because of the transition we're going through, manufacturing, standardization, that we have the system that we have. However, we're pretty lucky because we're actually evolving, maybe not our generation or our time here, but what's to come. We're moving to an era of customization. People are going to be able to buy a standard computer, a standard car, standard clothes, but they will be compelled to customize it, to transform it, to change it in some way. And since customization will become easier and easier, then you'll find people modifying their cars, modifying their clothes, modifying the tools that they own. You already sort of see it with like home remodeling. So they'll build a bunch of homes, and the homes will look very much the same, but inside the home or outside of the home, people customize it with a garden. They customize it with ceramic counters instead of I don't know, all the materials out there.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah.
Yeah. So we are going to move forward, and we had an episode where we talked about MakerBots, where you're able to do 3D printing. Well, just imagine when 3D printing becomes so accessible that it's as common as the telephone or as a fax machine. Well, fax machine is not a good example because we've moved beyond that.
But yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. As common as other things. It used to be that the power to create, the power to manufacture, actually still today is sort of tied up with big industries. But sooner or later it will move down to us, and then we'll all be able to do things like that. I can't imagine the day where you, instead of buying a car and customizing it, you can actually design your own vehicle. And the system knows how to input the standard safeties, it knows how to input the right things, and so you, instead of going to Toyota's lot or Lexus lot and trying to pick out a car, what you'll do is just design the Lexus car that you want based on their standard model. And the only cars that will be made will be the cars that are actually ordered and actually sent out to the person.
Well, some cars, I don't remember, but some of the, boy, I sell books and it's like I don't remember any of the titles that I sell. But like the smart car, I mean, those kind of cars that, like the hybrids and stuff like that, I had a whole series of books, and I remember there was one, and I don't remember the name of it, of course, and there was one that was just made to order. And it's, you know, those ecological cars, and that's it, just made to order. So that's the start of that, in a way.
Yeah, no, I think the future is definitely going to be made to order. I mean, just think about the benefits of it. Imagine not, maybe this is going to be 10, 20 years in the future, maybe even 50 years, but imagine there being no department stores, no stores anywhere, because websites like Amazon and the like have all the products that you need, and you just have to order it, and they don't have to take up space to sell it to you, whether it's clothes, whether it's food. I mean, you can actually order food online on Amazon, depending on where you live. I think in the United States, you can actually order food, groceries to your house. Okay. Now, imagine all the stores being sort of emptied out, very, very few stores out there, so that property gets made available for something else. And then imagine many, many businesses being done online or from home or virtually. And so many of the offices space are going to be used for something else. And so just imagine all the space we'll have outside if we choose to go the route of made to order, if we choose to go the route of being virtual or experiencing the world in a virtual way. The physical world would be free up for things like, you know, centers or more parks or, you know, things like that. I just can't imagine the future that is coming. It's so exciting.
It's interesting. I have to say, it's really, I never thought of it, but you're absolutely right. I'll have one exception though. I mean, because I do like to shop online. I think it's so convenient. You know, sometimes I'm like, oh, okay, I like to go outside and get outside of my house a bit. So that's one thing. But I find it's more efficient for me to shop online often. Well, it's a different experience anyway. It's a different experience. But in terms of clothing, you really have to try them on. I mean, I know you don't care much, but I mean, come on.
No, I know about trying them on. I completely. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I said once you know if you like one. For me, I mean, I know there's some clothes. If I know what my size, if I bought one already, then I don't need to go to the store. I can order it, especially if they ship it to me for free. Then I'm fine ordering it, you know. But I'll have to try it at least at first, you know. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I completely get that, and in fact, there are actually many people right now who are tackling that problem very specifically. They're tackling the issue of shopping online and the need to try on clothes. So just imagine, first of all, screens, computers, all that stuff right now, it's a little pricey, but eventually it'll become so cheap that every window that you have will have a built-in screen to it. You'll be able to have a screen the size of, imagine have a wall, and it looks like a mirror when it's not in use, but when it is in use, it becomes a virtual store. Now you stand in front of this mirror, there's a camera there, and it is able to model you 3D. Right now, the way it does it, it's very sort of cheaply done, but in the future, it'll be very expertly done. Every single part of you will be modeled. And then imagine being able to put clothes on and look at yourself in this mirror, and the clothes is actually on you. It actually looks like the clothing is on you. In fact, when you move...
Virtually, yeah, okay.
Exactly. When you move... Now, at first when I saw this, it was sort of like pasted on you, and when you moved, it sort of glitched out. But I've seen even better models where the fabric even moves as you move. It flows. It bounces. You know what I mean? So in 10 years...
Yeah. I totally get it. Yeah.
10 years from now, you will be able to wake up, go to your living room or whatever it is, hit a button or just activate the store, stand in front of a window, and the clothes that you selected somehow or that were suggested to you, you'll be able to stand in front of a mirror and it will look exactly like you are wearing the clothes.
Yeah.
The future that I see is that this is what happens. The old way of doing things gets transformed into new things, but then it frees us up for doing other things that we find equally or more pleasurable. Because there was a time where you can make the same sort of parallel where you say, well, I like going to the store and trying on clothes. I'm trying to think of the best example here, but there are times when people said, I like going and picking my food and feeling it with my hands and going to the farm and knowing the farmer, and now we sort of outsource that behavior to supermarkets and whatever it is. Now, we haven't done that so effectively. We need to sort of return to more organic measures, but I don't think we're going to return to the era where human beings necessarily have to go and plant their own food. And similarly, I think the joy of trying on clothes will be eclipsed by an even better joy.
Yep.
More time, more freedom to do other things. Now, that's a double-edged sword, because when computers came out, the people who predicted the future said, you know, we will have so much leisure time and then everything will be done at home. And the truth is, despite the fact that we are able to communicate more effectively now, we haven't reduced our amount of time to communicate. We just do more of it in the same amount of time. So that's why we have to change our thinking about what's important in our life, or else becoming more efficient will just allow other people to introduce more work for you to do. And there are people who leave work on Friday and they go back to work on Monday, but all during the weekend their bosses expect them to check their emails, expect them to be on, expect them to be available. And so there are a lot of people who actually lose their weekend, despite the fact that we're far more efficient now. So I'm really hoping that there's this balance between what we can do and the balance of what we would like to do. And I think because of people like you, will always have some type of department store that you'll go to. But instead of it being, instead of them being 50 in a city, I think we can reduce that to 10 in a city. And most people would be there, and then now going shopping would be like a social experience as opposed to being sort of isolated. I'm just going to try something out. So there's all kinds of ways for the future to turn out.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. I just hope that as technology advances, we also advance this idea that says, hey, why don't we actually use this technology to make more free time for us to do leisurely things instead of just freeing up time for me to do more work?
Yeah, well, I guess it's everybody's choice, you know, and I think that ultimately every time the universe just gets to a balance, and it balances itself out constantly as it changes. So it's just, but yeah, it's everybody's choice, you know, and as you say, it can be leisure, or it can be, yeah, actually, if it's something that you love to do, if you're creative and it's something you love to do, then it's leisure, it's not work anymore. But then we're just going to be creating more and expanding more, and then that's what we do anyway.
Yeah, we do it anyway, and like you said, it's a matter of us choosing it. Things are going to be changing, but if we can stay hopeful and focused, then we can actually have the future that we're wanting. In fact, well, today we're talking about hope and change, so I should say thank you for that.
Good segue.
Yeah, indeed. So we'll start the show here. I know Lee's having computer problems today.
I know. I told him we miss him.
Yeah, I know. It's great. It's great when he's here.
What about Joanne? She's too busy working.
I actually haven't heard. Usually I hear that she's busy or something. Maybe she will pop in. I have no idea, but I haven't heard one way or the other.
Okay.
No, I haven't heard one way or the other if she's going to show up. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that we have more and more people watching the show. They're not participating, but I didn't know there were so many people just watching it, and so it's actually very interesting to see that go on. Actually, we had a comment on our last show from a lady named Betty about which influenced the topic for today.
Yes.
So she wanted to talk about a breakup she's going through and accepting changes that are happening. So I'm hoping Hope and Change will get to the heart of that. Good. I know you gave me some suggestions, Valerie. I think one of the suggestions was something about this, so I was really hoping.
Yeah, there was change in it, definitely. Well, I mean, I took it all from you, but it's, yeah. Well, I'm glad people are suggesting topics. This is wonderful. I'm trying not to be intimidated by too many people watching, but.
No, don't be shy. And there are people who watch live, and there are people who watch after the fact. We're getting more and more views on our YouTube videos, and you know, one day it'll just blow up, and then we'll have a ton of people watching. Then we can be nervous, you know. But for now, it's just.
Oh, we'll have too many people participating, and you'll have to have, you know, so many spots.
I can't imagine having 10 people down here, 10 people in that row, because we can fit up to 10 in this room. It'll be interesting. But I'm looking forward to that day.
Yep.
Okay, so we'll start the show. Hi, my name is Peter Hartman. You're watching The Appreciationist. Thank you very much for joining us. Tonight's show, we're talking about hope and change. And no, I'm not talking about Obama's third election. What I'm talking about is hope and change in relationship to losing something, in relationship to a lost relationship, or accepting the world for the way it is. So we're going to get into that. If you have any questions, feel free to post that below. If you're watching this live, there's a Q&A app that you can press, and you can enter some questions there. But I'm sure me and my friend here will really have a lot of fun talking about the subject. Speaking of my friend, would you like to introduce yourself?
Yes, hi, this is Valerie here, or Val, and happy to be here.
Awesome. Very happy to have you here today, Valerie. Valerie is a regular, and she's my favorite regular. I'm really glad that you're here. I was watching the last episode where I said you're my favorite, and I was like, yeah, she absolutely is my favorite.
Well, I have to accept that. You were saying the other day how some people have a hard time accepting compliments, and I am one of those, but I'm learning. So.
Good.
I'll get there.
I just don't want anybody to think that I am lying when I say that, but if you watch the show, if you watch previous episodes, you can see all the fun that we have. So it's very clear that what I'm saying is truthful here. Let's see here. Okay, good. So a moment of appreciation. The most important thing we do on this show every week is to look back on the past few days and the past week and ask yourself, was there something that I can appreciate? Was there something valuable that occurred? And so we share it here. If you have a moment of appreciation you want to share, please feel free to join us on the show. You can participate live with your webcam or just with your microphone, just like Valerie is doing here today, so you don't have to be shy. Or if you really don't want to participate live, why don't you share a moment of appreciation either by email or any of our social platforms, and we'll read it on the air for you. But we'll take a moment here in the segment we call Moment of Appreciation to look back and really mine our experience for positive things, or something that we can view now in a positive way. Sometimes you can only view something positively after it's been done. Sort of hindsight is 20/20. So let's use that clear vision and let's bring up some things that really went well. Valerie, you have a moment of appreciation?
Yes. Again, well, simple, but probably because we do this every week, I think when I do have one now, it's like I think about it right then, and I think about it after, but it's really, so I'm in the moment. And last time I went to the grocery store, first of all, you have to know that I don't like going to the grocery store. I hate it, actually. A lot of my friends they know that because they find it funny, and because a lot of people do like going to the grocery store and I don't, and so a lot of my friends sometimes they'll find a way to get me to the grocery store. Oh, I have to stop to this, at the store today, and I'm like, no, you're not going to do that to me. Anyway, that's just something else. But last time I was at the grocery store, I was of course trying to do it fast, and I was about to pay for my items, and the lady in front of me had, I think, spent over $60 or whatever, and at IGA you usually get something for free. But that day wasn't something for free, was like 3 cents off on your gas at a Shell station. And
3 cents off a gallon, right?
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Yeah. So, and she wasn't going to use it. So she gave it to me.
That's awesome.
I was like, wow. I think I thanked her like 4 times. And especially, I mean, the timing was incredible because I was about to forget that I had to put gas in the car because I was really low. I mean, eventually I would have seen the light, literally. But and I said, oh, well, thank you so much, and thank you for reminding me that I'm totally empty and I do have to go and get gas now, so I'll use this right away. So, yeah, I was very, very appreciative of that, and I'm very, very grateful that she was that generous.
That's very cool. Isn't that awesome? You're right place, right time, right in that line, and you get something like that.
That's right.
It's very interesting to me how that works. how the universe sort of presents that to you. Was there a possibility? Did she offer it to you, or did you ask for it?
Oh no, no, she offered it to me because she was paying for items, and the lady at the cash said, well, you're entitled to 3 cents or whatever. She said, well, I'm not going to use it. So she just turned to me. She said, well, would you like it? And I said, sure. So
very cool. I love that we live in a world like that with people who are so willing to sort of do that. I bet you there's many people who just never think about doing something like that, but there she was. Very cool. That's a good moment of appreciation. Thank you for sharing that, Valerie. Pretty gas.
What about yours?
Oh, mine was interesting. Well, mine was Spring into Attraction. We had our first outdoor event this year, and it went super well. Had a lot of fun. We had great weather despite the warnings of thunder showers.
Oh, it was gorgeous.
Yeah, the people who came out, Valerie, you came out there. It was really good to see you there, and met a lot of new people as well. It was just a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to the next ones that we're doing. There was a little bit of confusion with because we have other outdoor events. We have a picnic and we have an appreciation walk. Some people came for different events. In fact, 2 people even brought food, thinking it was the picnic, and so. But I can tell you that I appreciated them coming out, and some people brought their dogs.
I thought that was cool. I thought that was really nice. That makes a difference actually about being outdoors, is that you get to interact with the pets as well. It's nice.
That's right, exactly. Yeah, no, cat owners, at least when I was a cat owner, I was really jealous about dog owners because they can take their dogs out, but I can't take my cat out for a walk. The best that I could do was when I let her out, I would just follow her wherever she went, but it was good to have everybody out there. We had a really meaningful conversation. People stayed. In fact, even after that, I got an email that provided me, or may provide me, with an opportunity to travel down south in order to share my message. So I was really excited about that. I won't talk about that too much right now. We'll see once that's finalized. But it was just a wonderful time, and the feeling sort of stayed with me for a long time. Even now, I can sort of still feel the warmth of that experience to the point where I'm looking forward to the next time we can go outside.
Mm-hmm.
That was a lot of fun. Okay, moment of appreciation. Well, look, moment of appreciation is the best thing that we do here, but the second best is the joke of the week. You ready for the joke of the week?
Yep.
Last week was Liberty. This week, Joy was left over from last week. Did I spell Joy? Okay. Joy and Faith today. Joy and Faith. Which one would you like that?
Faith.
Faith. Awesome. Okay. So I've transitioned to my little device here. I have my jokes here. Faith. Here we go. Wandering around a fairgrounds, a man enters a fortune teller's tent for a laugh. "I see you're the father of 2, says the seer, gazing into her crystal ball. "Ha! That's what you think," says the man scornfully. "I'm the father of 3. "Ha!" says the fortune teller. "That's what you think."
That's good.
Oh,
that's a long one.
Yeah, I know. Well, now that it's on my device, I can, instead of having to write them all out, I can have longer ones now, and it won't be as complicated. So there it is. Joke of the week. Good laugh?
Yep.
And laughter's some good medicine, I think.
And it wasn't fake. I'll let you know.
It wasn't fake. Yes, indeed. I think it's the one-liners that get me in trouble because of how they're formulated. But
well, I guess sometimes it's a matter of getting into it. It's when it's a longer one, you have the context, and then you already know you're pinpointing something.
That's right.
Maybe when it's shorter, it's like, okay, where are we going? And so we're trying to figure it out, and then you get to the punchline, and sometimes we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah, that's right. There was one joke I never used. There was a blind man who walks into a bar, and then a chair. Then
You're getting better at this, Peter.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, well, Joy is left over. If you want to hear the Joy joke, you can tune in next week at 7 p.m. Make your selection, or you can vote by leaving a comment. We're not that picky with that.
Always good to keep joy around.
Always good to keep joy around, indeed. What should next week's joke word be? Let me write that down right now.
Didn't you say inspiration last week?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. That's what I meant, right? Okay, so let's do inspiration for...
Or was that for a topic? Because I'm getting things confused now. But
I think it was for the joke.
Okay.
I think it was for the joke. So let me just write this down. Inspiration. So inspiration and joy for next week if you guys are interested. Okay.
And they can even vote.
That's right. You can vote. And I think the joke for, let's see, it's the joke for joy that funny. Let's see. Yeah, it's pretty fun. Pretty funny joke.
Well, I would think that if you have it up there, it's got to be funny.
Hey, some of them aren't. I know that going into it.
At least you think they're funny enough to be there.
Yes, yes.
According to you.
That's right. But I've learned over the course of my life that I am very easy to please. Extremely easy to please. I listen to stand-up comedies. I listen to all kinds of stuff, and it always makes me laugh. But look, there you go. I'm the type of guy who can find joy and laughter in just sitting in a park and watching kids play and people play sports or whatever it is. Oh, there was this good frisbee joke that I heard. Anyway, I'll pause there because we are quickly running out of time for a 30-minute segment. So I just want to give you an idea for what a great idea. In the segment called "What a Great Idea," I just pitch you an idea, something that's worth your attention. Last week we had an app called Sleep Genius, which helps you to wake up calmly, slowly, with relaxation. And this week it's another app called Elevator. It's Elevator spelled without the O, so Elevator TR. You can find that in the iTunes App Store, and it's a wonderful app that allows entrepreneurs to sort of flush out their ideas, to turn their ideas into reality. So what it does is that, well, I'll tell you more specifically, you'll get excited about it. If you've ever had an idea, you wanted to create a business plan, but you didn't know exactly how to go about it, this app is for you. So you write down your idea, you create an elevator pitch, which is a sort of a short pitch for the idea. You tell, when you're an entrepreneur, what you're doing is you're solving a problem. So you have to state the problem that you're trying to solve and the solution to that problem. Then you determine your target market, the competition that you have, the competitive advantages that you have. You sort of describe the product, so the use cases for the product features, the brand identity, and then the business model in terms of monetization, distribution, financials, and then the execution of the idea, the key people that you need, the milestones that you are going to set, and the next steps in your project. So this is a really useful little app. If you ever have an idea that you want to turn into a business or you want to pitch it, this is a wonderful app that allows you to sort of flesh out that idea, to become more clear about it in a way that maybe the average person isn't familiar with. So that's Elevator, ELEVATR. No.
Good. By the way, was it last week, Sleep Genius?
Yes, last week was Sleep Genius. We also mentioned Loopy, but the app...
That was the week before. Yeah, okay, so Sleep Genius, I've tried it. I used it this afternoon for a nap. It was nice, yeah. I like it a lot, and I've referred it to some other people, so...
Very cool, very cool. I've never used the nap feature because I don't take naps, but...
I didn't use, actually I didn't buy it, it's the free one, so I don't have the nap feature, but I just used the regular sleep for a nap. So.
Awesome. Well, good, that works. I'll tell you, every time I use it, I almost look forward to my alarm in the morning because I've sort of trained myself to how peaceful it feels. And if you're ever interested in your sleep cycles, how restful your sleep is, how well you're sleeping, it actually marks your sleep cycles, which is actually very cool. But I'm glad you're getting use out of it, Val.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was kind of, well, again, I'm going to talk about my cat, but it was kind of funny when you start hearing the birds and everything in the morning. Her first reaction was really funny. Like, how come this bird in the phone, you know? It was, but I got used to it. Once she heard the music, it was like, oh, okay, no, it's not nature.
That's funny. That is so funny. Yeah, that is true. In fact, I think my cat did the exact same thing, but very fun. Cool. Look, today we're talking about hope and change, and so we had a member post on our last event, they wanted to talk about what it's like to deal with a breakup, to sort of find your identity, or maybe to accept what's going on. How do you deal with that? How do you learn how to accept what's going on in your environment? And so I have to pose the question to you, Valerie. Do you ever find it difficult to sort of accept what's going on?
Yeah. I have an example. It's going to sound ridiculous, but that same day when I was at the grocery store, as this lady was giving me that beautiful gift, I realized I had lost my shopping bag because I had changed carts, and I forgot my shopping bag in one of them. And it is, I mean, my mom sends them from France, and they're beautiful. They're, you know, I've got quite a few of them, but this one was my favorite one. And it's no big deal. It's like €1. It doesn't cost much, but it made me smile. It was a bright color. It had daisies on it. It just, you know, and it was amazing how I was like, oh no, I felt empty. I was like, okay, it's gone. And then I was just thinking, I was thinking of you and everything that we talk about and everything, and I'm like, come on, this is like a ridiculous loss. But I was feeling it at the same time. I was in my car and I was like, okay, Val, now really, like right now you're more upset about this bag than you are about some people who have died in your life. I mean, of course, you know, it's been years or it's been months or something, but it was like, really? And so I was feeling it in my gut, you know. It was like, okay, this feels weird, and I mean, I got over it, you know, but it was physically, how I felt it was interesting. You know, and to be in the present moment, and it felt like an emptiness, like something had been taken from me, though it hadn't, but it's all in the perception of it, of course. But so it's how do you deal with it? I mean, I think eventually I think we adapt, you know. There's a way to, or we make sense of it, or we compensate. There are many ways. I think there are many ways, and probably different stages of that.
I agree. I mean, certainly time plays a big role in sort of diminishing your focus on a particular loss, right? So if you break up with someone or you lose an object that's precious to you, then over time, your focus will be diffused and you will feel less painful about it. But I accept that it doesn't matter whether you think it's something simple that you've lost or something huge. How you feel about it is all that matters. And if you really care about that thing, if you really care about that bag, and I know exactly how you feel. I mean, if you thought yours was silly, mine's even sillier. I have a recreation of the, in fact, I have it right here. I have a recreation of the Lord of the Rings ring. I'm a kind of a geek.
Yeah.
And I thought I lost it, and
sounds like, oh, my precious.
That's right, my precious. And the moment I realized that I might have lost it or destroyed it, my heart sank. I felt, I mean, this cost what, $10, and it's really not a big deal. But I've grown so attached to it. I use this ring. Look, someone told me a little while ago, Alexi, he runs a meetup group called Holistic Wealth in Montreal. He told me about this rubber band sort of technique where you put a rubber band on, and every time you're trying to remember something, you're trying to keep something going, if you break that habit, then you switch the rubber band over. And I really like that, but I got criticized for wearing my rubber band. People saying it was ugly, so I accept that. And so I found something else. I found this. I was given this ring by my brother, and I said, you know, I'm going to use this ring as the reminder. So what I do is, just like in the Lord of the Rings, I keep it just in my pocket. I never wear it. I never put it on. And I just sort of touch it and finger it, just like the Hobbit did inside the movie. And every time I touch it, I just remind myself to be brave. I remind myself not to worry. I remind myself that I'm powerful. And when I lost the ring, I felt powerless. I felt the opposite of everything that I try to feel when I do have the ring. So I completely understand how you feel about that. Betty was talking about losing or a relationship ending. And despite the fact that I know that when your relationship ends, it only leaves you open to an even better relationship, I still acknowledge that it can hurt, that it can really affect you. And so, yeah, exactly. And so some of us, we just sort of accept that time is really the only thing that's going to solve this. But you can actually do something about it besides time. So first of all, I mentioned focus, that diffuse focus. The reason why time helps is because as time progresses, you become less and less inclined, some of us, some people don't, but some of us are less inclined to put our thoughts to the thing that is hurting us. So you break up with your lover today, all you can think about tomorrow is your lover. But in a year from now, you're going to think about your lover less, and because you think about it less, the pain is not there as much. And so the first step in realizing your pain is not the result of your circumstance, but it's the result of your focus. And that's the part I feel like a lot of people may struggle with. They feel like, well, I must give this my focus. It happened. It's here. It's happened to me. I lost this. I do no longer have it. How can I not think about it? The first step is realizing that you do have a choice to put your attention to that or not. Now, focus is really, when you really dive into focus, focus is about intent. What do you intend? There are people who say, well, yes, I cannot focus on this. But the truth is, they feel compelled to, they intend to, they want to think about it. They're getting some form of satisfaction from the pain that they're feeling. And that's not some crazy masochistic behavior. That is because there's true information and value in pain. And so that's the second thing I want to say. Focus was what causes pain, but the second thing is there's value in that pain. And the first step in accepting change, accepting any transformation, is realizing the value of that change, the value of that loss, the value of that circumstance, of that state of being. And so when you lost your bag and you're sitting down and it put you in the present moment to consider, how important is this? How should I feel bad because of this? Is this worth it? Right?
Right.
It causes you to focus that. And so that was a moment that losing that bag gave you. It gave you an excuse to focus on your present moment and to ask yourself, is this worth it? Now I have a question to ask people. This is the question that I actually ask someone. How much, let's say you have this heartache, you have this pain in your heart, you have this sadness. How much would you pay to feel that sad, even for a minute? How much would you pay to feel that way? How much would you have paid to feel the sadness, the loss that you felt with that bag?
$5.
$5. I would argue you probably wouldn't pay anything. If somebody came to you and said, for $5 I will make you feel that way, you'd say, well, I'll keep my money and you can go away now, right?
Yeah, as you were saying, but honestly, this is what comes up. But so I usually go with my intuition. So I just had $5, so that's what came. But no, I mean, of course, I don't want to feel sad, but there was something in the experience. There was, as you said, there was value in it. So, I mean, not huge value, $5 of it, but it's still, it was, it gave me something. It was interesting to at least sit in it and just experience it and then have perspective on it, you know? So, yeah.
No, of course.
Great question. I love it.
Yeah, it's the question that I asked myself, and now I'm asking other people. But it is true. First of all, I sort of glanced over. I said you wouldn't pay anything, but the truth is you would pay money to feel that way. We do it all the time. When you go see a sad movie, when you see a horror movie, when you read a scary book, a thriller, you're paying to feel scared. When you go on a roller coaster, you're paying to feel that thrill, which sometimes is mixed with fear or discomfort. So we would pay $5. We would pay $10 to feel sad. People do it all the time. But I asked that question not because it's ridiculous to pay to feel that way, but to consider that you are actually spending something to feel this way. So the second question that I asked after how much money would you spend, the second question I ask is this: how many minutes of your life, how much time off your life are you willing to grant this pain? Okay, so imagine yourself 40, 50 years in the future. Okay, you are slowly coming to your end, and all you would wish for is an extra day, an extra 5 minutes, an extra minute, an extra 10 seconds with your loved ones. Well, you are spending time today. These are your life minutes. This is your life currency. I like to convince people that the time that you spend focusing on one thing or another, you're not spending money, but you're spending life currency. You're spending life energy, right? Yeah. So if you wouldn't spend $5 on feeling this sad, why spend 5 minutes Now, that's not to say that you can't feel that way. It's just a way of thinking that let me allow myself to feel this pain, but let me at the same time realize that I'm spending my life money on this pain. And so let me just do it for as long as it's valuable to me.
Exactly. I think it's actually I mean, for me, I think it's an even better question. And I wish I had had that question put to me a few years ago. So, yeah, I think it's a great, very useful. Thank you, Peter. Love it. Because as you said, it's then you spend, first of all, you're empowered when you think that way. And then you're like, okay, I'm not going to spend maybe no time. Maybe I'm going to spend no time on it. But if I decide to spend time on it, then as you said, then I get to choose how much time, and I'm very aware of why I'm doing it. And I guess I'm doing it because it has value, but it has value for how long, or just for, I like it a lot. It gives you very good perspective.
Exactly, and that's what I'm hoping to really provide with this conversation. So if you realize that the only reason you feel pain is not because of the circumstance, but because of your focus, that's step one. It puts you in the driver's seat. It says, okay, well, I will feel the pain. I'm feeling this pain not because I'm a victim, but because I'm choosing to. I'm allowing it, and that's okay. I can allow it for as long as I want.
Yep.
Then, and of course, time will heal all wounds, or at least dissolve that a bit. So your focus really determines how much pain you're going to feel, and then you want to ask yourself, well, how much time am I willing to spend on this? Because I'm spending time on it. It's valuable in that way. And so when you start thinking about life in that way, then you realize, I realized this, when I had my last breakup, or last few breakups, I sat down with my pain and I told myself, Peter, you felt like this before. You felt as bad as you feel now before, and you got over it. You met someone new. You found something different, and suddenly that pain is no more. The same thing, the same person that I lost in the past that I felt that I couldn't go on, I got over it.
Right.
And then I met someone else, and then it ended, and then I felt the pain again, fresh and new, and then I got over it. And again, and again, and I said, well, how silly is it of me to continue this pattern of feeling sad, so down about this? How silly is it when, of course, the remedy to the solution is just to move forward.
Right.
Move forward. It actually fixes things. But we're so compelled. The law of attraction says whatever you give your attention to becomes more a part of your experience. It doesn't only just become more a part of your experience. It becomes magnetic. It becomes attractive. It becomes familiar to the point where you can't help yourself but look at it. You don't want to help yourself. But the truth is, if you allow the moment to sort of sit on the back burner for a little while, just so that it's not a part of your attention for as often as you might make it, you're going to realize that pain, that idea, that thought becomes less compelling. That's what happens over time, but you can do it on purpose. You can do it on purpose. You can say, I'm not going to think about my ex for the next 3 days. I'm not going to think about it for the next week. I'm not going to think about my loss for this amount of time, just because I don't want to give it more mass, more, what's the word I'm looking for? Substance. I'm not going to give it more energy.
Well, how about, I mean, because like, okay, I'm not going to think about my ex for 3 days. That's big, especially when you're in the middle of it. How about 5 minutes, 10 minutes at a time? Like little, like,
That's right.
I think
you make a very good point. You don't want to set yourself these huge challenges. You do it for 5 minutes, you do it for a minute, you do it for 30 seconds. But even more than that, you can't tell yourself, I'm not going to think about my ex for 5 minutes or 3 days, because then you're going to be thinking about your ex for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
The only way to change your focus is not saying, I'm not going to think about this. That never works. I mean, I've done it. I'm sure a lot of people have done this. You break up, you say, I'm not going to think about it, and all you can do is think about it. The only solution to that is to give your attention to something else. You must find something else that is compelling enough to give it your focus. That's why some people, I think that's why she mentioned not having a sort of concrete self-identity. When you don't have, and I think what she means by that is that things that you love, things that you care about, things that you value equal or above valuing this other person. When you make this other person more important than you and your hobbies, hobbies and what you like, then when they're gone, you have nothing to give your attention to. So there's two things. One, the best way to solve any problem is through prevention. So what you want to do is find something before you love someone or while you're loving them, find something else that you love equally or more, so that if that one falls, if that system falls, you have another system to rely on. And then the second thing is, if you haven't done that before, well, now that it's over, you have time, find something else to give your attention to. Find something else to love. Now, some people, they switch right away to find another person to love, but I would encourage you to find a hobby, to find a skill to learn, to find a book to read, to find something else that is not just distracting you, but that is actually interesting to you, something that you actually do like and could love. Because by doing so, you give yourself another point of focus. And remember I said the only reason you feel bad is because your focus is on that problem, or if you're able to focus on something else, and if it's compelling enough that it draws your focus, that it attracts your focus, then you can be free of the majority of your negative emotions. But the biggest lesson... I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, it frees you. I mean, a bit like we were talking before, the different circumstances, once you can look at it that way, it frees you up for something else, or for, yeah, it frees up your time, your energy, probably as well,
That's right.
Also, there's something that we've talked about before that you can do, I think, in the moment. When you're saying, okay, well, how much of your time do you want to give to that situation, or how much would you pay for it? But also, because as you said, when you've had breakups before, you can say, okay, it's happened before and I got over it, and so yes, that's one thing. But you also, even let's say you've never had that, you can imagine yourself in the future. And saying, okay, how am I going to feel about this in, I don't know, a year from now, 2 years from now, 20 years from now? Will this, how I feel now, what will it look like from then, So, and then that gives you distance. You've said this before. When you look at the big picture, then I think you breathe better, and if you can only do it for a couple of minutes, at least, then that's 2 minutes, that you can breathe a bit better, and maybe you realize you are not that situation. This is just something you're going through, and you'll go through some other better things maybe.
That's exactly right. I couldn't say it better myself. That's exactly right. And to the same point that you were making, the larger issue is that you allowed yourself with your back to sit down and to feel what you were feeling, to be in the present moment. And that is actually the biggest value that these painful experiences provide us. They provide us a moment of time where we can go inwards and inspect ourselves and to ask ourselves, who are we? Do I have a lack of self-identity? Am I not as much in love with myself as I was this other person? These painful moments cause you to stop, to pause, and to reflect on what's going on. And if you can realize the bigger picture, that this pain that you're feeling is only going to put into sharper and crisper focus who you would actually like to be, then you can bless this, grateful, you can appreciate this moment for what it's giving you. Not in the instance that you're feeling the pain, but in the bigger picture whenever you choose to focus in that direction. And one of the best ways, like you mentioned, to see this bigger picture is to ask yourself, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, I don't care how far you have to go, just pick a time in the future that is realistic to you. But in 5 years from now, will you still feel the same way? And if not, why? And then the answer comes to you, because of course everybody goes through this. Of course this is a natural part of life. Of course this is a learning experience. And of course this will only make my next relationship even better.
Right.
Look, there's a lot that we could say on the subject. Maybe we'll hold a group discussion on the subject of acceptance or loss, or dealing with loss or change. But it's a very powerful subject, and a lot of people do have these questions. So I really appreciate, Betty, you posting that comment on our page and giving us the excuse to have this conversation. I know we're profiting on your pain, but there you go. The value of your experience is not only given to you, but given to all those that are connected to you.
Yeah, thank you for the topic, really.
Indeed, indeed. Look, I won't keep you for much longer. It's 7:46. We've shot past our. Actually, no. This is actually about 30 minutes, considering that we started 10. 15 minutes, right?
Yeah. See, this is exactly what we're talking about: perspective or perception. It's like you can look at it any way you want. You can actually make those numbers say whatever you want.
I can cheat. Yeah, that's right. I feel like an American banker, you know. Okay, good, great. Look, okay, so what's next on this list? And then I'm going to let you guys go. I just want to let you know, if you're in the Montreal area, a member of our group, Alexi, he has a group called Holistic Wealth. He has a meetup tomorrow, May 29th, so definitely want to check that out. It's going to be on our meetup page. I also want to let you know about upcoming events.
Infinity.
That's right. So Infinity is on June 13th.
Oh, okay. 13th, yeah.
We also have the social potluck on June 7th. That's going to be at Beaver Lake. I'm going backwards in time here. May 31st, Appreciation Walk with Samantha Barley. You definitely want to check that out. Samantha Barley has been a co-organizer of the Law of Attraction Meetup Group and the Happy for a Change Meetup Group. And she is holding her first event. So you're going to go for a nice walk with her, leisurely walk, a nice physical exercise, and you'll be able to hear a... You're going out there for a walk of appreciation, and she is really good at finding the pleasure of being outside. I mean, especially being outside in nature. So you'll want to check that out. And developing, I don't have the name here. Anyway, Lee Weischer, he's holding another one of his events. It's the fourth one in the series. You want to check that out. It's on our media page. It's on June 8th. So definitely want to check that out. All the information you can find.
Sorry. I think it's how to stay positive in any situation, something like that.
And isn't that what we were talking about today? How to stay positive in any situation. It's not attitude.
I'm interrupting you.
No, please interrupt me at your will. So you can find all that information at thelawofattraction.ca. You can also check out happyforachange.com for some interesting topics there. If you're watching this on YouTube, feel free to comment. On the Google Plus page, feel free to comment. You can comment on meetup.com/TLOANTL. And I want to thank you very much for watching, and please tune in next week at 7 p.m. for The Appreciationist. Thank you very much, Valerie. Thank you, everybody, for watching.
Everyone, bye.
Take care. Bye. Ooh, that was a lot of fun. Hope and change. I know I didn't get to everything, but there we go. Is there anything else to say? Okay, if you want to come to the picnic, please check it out. Just bring a little something. If you can't bring a little something, there's a little fee, but really don't worry about it. We have a lot of people RSVP to that, so you definitely want to check that out. It's meetup.com/TLOANTL. That's meetup.com/TLOANTL. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time. Tune in next week at 7 p.m. for The Appreciationist. I wonder how long I can wait, and we'll stay there. Just having some fun.